Welcome to I Heart Geek.
And it's another episode of I Heart Geek.
Yeah,
The She-Hulk edition.
Yeah.
I'm Courtney Miss Geeky Page, and I've got Kevin, Tyler, and Bly's here with me today. And that's right, guys, we're going to be talking about She-Hulk episode 3 and 4. Forgive us, please. We all got super busy and did not get a chance to cut you an episode for just episode 3. But that's okay, because that means you get a 2 for today.
Double the trouble.
All right, you guys, double the trouble.
This one's going to be 3.5 hours long.
There you go.
Sometimes hanging on the couch with a certain two people takes a little bit of time out of your day, and you don't have time to record an episode.
Absolutely. Busy. Anyways, how is everybody doing today? Kevin, how are you this afternoon?
Doing well. Life is good. Good season. Ready to talk about She-Hulk.
That's right. Tyler, how about you?
Doing good. No complaints.
Awesome. And Bly's?
Been a great weekend. We had D23 this weekend. A lot of good stuff.
Did.
A lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline. So I'm super stoked for what we got.
Yep. And we posted a bunch of that on our Facebook page. So if you guys are curious, go check it out and you'll see some of the stuff. I mean, all you have to do is just open up the internet and you'll find out whatever's going on at D23.
The internet's good for that.
The internet is good for that. So let's get into it. She-Hulk episode 3 and 4. Let's start with episode 3. A lot of good stuff that happened in this one. We go to court and we get a meal and we get Runa the Light Witch and we get something else that was completely, thoroughly, and unexpected. So let's get some overall thoughts. We'll talk about we start off with that scene in the Department of Damage Control where she's trying to get Blonsky on parole, even though there's that footage of Wong in the Shang-Chi episode. So let's go ahead and let's get some thoughts. Tyler, how did you feel about how did you feel about episode 3 in general? We're gonna play it loosey-goosey today, kids, so hang on for the ride, listeners.
All right. No, episode 3 was it's fun. I mean, that's what the show has been the whole time. Fun. And episode 3 had a lot of that. I will say episode 4, I think, was the best episode yet. A lot of good stuff, a lot of cool stuff. But episode 3, for sure. Yeah, no, it was quite entertaining. A lot of laugh out loud parts.
Agreed. We get Wong in this episode finally, and we get that great fourth wall break in the car where she mentions, I know you all want to see Wong. I think my favorite Wong moment is that we found out he was a Target sales associate at one point in time.
Yeah.
Not what I expected of Wong.
No.
But there you go. Kevin, how about you? How did you feel about episode 3? And this is Wong's podcast and we're all here for it.
Oh, dude, everything. Listen, She-Hulk said it perfectly in episode 4. I know we're talking about 3, but she said it's Wong is Twitter protection for a week. And so, I mean, if we can just keep him there, just God, I love Wong so much. But just great episode, great show all the way around so far. I know we're gonna talk about the end credit scene a little bit for that episode, but man, what a funny show! It's such an enjoyment to watch. It really is.
Blythe, how about you? What are your thoughts on 3? We'll get into the meat of 3 in just a minute. I just want everybody's generals.
I think 3 was a prime example of how this show is a law show. We had 2 different cases in this show. We had going on simultaneously. Like at one point in the episode, we're jumping back and forth between her case with Blonsky and it's Pug, right? Pug's case with Dennis. So it really is a law show at its core, and then you have all the Marvel things going on around it and all the things with her and stuff. But the fact that they keep bringing in these cases that she's working on. So episode 1, she was in her case that got messed up by Titania, and I don't remember if there was 1 and 2, but now you have 3. You've got 2 going on simultaneously, and then we'll get into the one that's going on in 4 as well. So it's just it's really cool to see them keep that theme, because it would be easy, right? It would be easy for them to do a case and then you take a storyline and you roll with it and then you go off into something else. But to just keep it at that core, I really, really enjoy that about the show.
Well, this is what we wanted, right? Like, we wanted to see what the MCU is now after everything. I think this is the first time we're actually getting a peek behind the curtain of what happened when there's not these crazy big world events, is that life just happens. And the fact that we have a new court case every single week, I mean, that's just, that's great. New kinds of craziness.
And not even just normal court cases. They're fun because they're court cases that have to do with superhuman and enhanced individuals. So just the case with Dennis, the fact that it's about Asgardian shape-shifting royalty sprite, like that's completely out of left field. But they took it and they made it in a fun way that really shows you that in this world where Asgardians now live on Earth and there's more of like a hodgepodge of beings on this planet. There's all sorts of outlandish things that are going on.
Well, and what I'll say about that is this is the first time in the MCU that we see light elves. They are the opposite of the dark elves that we saw in the Dark World.
Good point.
But I don't know if she's the perfect example or if she's the exception, but apparently their moral compass isn't any better than dark elves are. So, but I mean, I thought Runa was funny personally. I thought that was hilarious. All the shape shifting. We all know a guy like Dennis who actually believes he could land someone like Megan Thee Stallion. So the sheer thought that they played off the fact that he's just so egotistical, and I know that Tyler likes Dennis and all of Dennis's little quirks, his comments about how funny he is.
Like Dennis.
Well, like is probably not
like a throat punch, Dennis.
It's like looking in a mirror, right, Tyler?
Yeah. Just ask my wife how we met.
So I mean, that was, I enjoyed that. And I mean, the other thing that's really fun that went on in this too is that the writers, like Kevin mentioned, that happens in episode 4 where we talk about how Wong is Twitter armor for the week. Yeah. They go after all of the Twitter furor that happened when they announced the She-Hulk TV show. And some of them, I feel that they just literally just pulled right from Twitter and put onto the screen. Now, a couple of minor Easter eggs that are deep cuts, which may not be true. They may just be something. A couple of the tweets come from Dom the Bounty Hunter, which could be Domino, who we know is a partner of Deadpool, and Deadpool's part of the MCU now. Wow. And there's so there's some of the commenters' names on those tweets kind of coincide with Marvel characters, but that's something that this show has been doing consistently, though, where there's little nods here and there to various and sundry other characters that might show up. I mean, another one that we noticed is when we go back to the Blonsky case, we see that the name of the lawyer that put him in prison to begin with goes by the name of Gideon Wilson. In the comic books, Gideon Wilson is Sam Wilson's brother. Yep. But in this particular case, I think it's just a name they decided to reuse. And this show seems to be the kind of show that they can do that with, and it's a lot of fun. It's deep cuts, but it's also very tongue-in-cheek. Going,
and
hey
it's
guys,
Marvel. They can come right back around to that.
Exactly.
All of a sudden we got Sam's dad or brother or whatever.
Exactly. And so we have all that good stuff happening on, and we have the two trials, and we have Wong finally showing up and helping to get Blonsky out. If he follows, you need the inhibitor, you have to do this, you have to do that. Kevin, you got a thought? Bring me.
Wait a second, but how did we get Wong? Is her secretary, her paralegal, sent him a thirst trap, and then he shows up. That's how we got a hold of him.
what kind of thirst trap was it? Remember?
It was her with a bunch of
picture
books.
of her with a big stack of books.
That did it though. And man, I mean, he showed up.
Wongers.
Got a random text and just went, all right, I'm here.
I don't know if you guys caught this, but after that episode premiered, the actress went on her Twitter and posted herself with like a stack of books, and she's like, "Here's the picture I sent Wong."
I love it.
So funny. It's fun. It's cool to see the actors and actresses having fun doing this, and we'll talk a little bit about the post-credit scene and why that actually came about, and like the behind-the-scene images that we saw. But you can tell that the people that are working on these projects are having fun with it. It doesn't seem to be one of those things where you hear, well, like everything's strict and nobody's having a good time. Like this show and Miss Marvel have really shown that like they're just having fun with these shows and they're pumping out, and you can feel it. You can feel it in the quality of the show.
Yeah, it's really showing that the MCU has a sense of humor, which Marvel has a sense of humor. I mean, this character's very much so throughout her timeline. Same with Deadpool, and so that's what makes these super fun. So before we get to that end credit scene, I know Tyler wants to talk about those 4 guys who showed up at the end of episode 3. Tyler, take it away.
I just thought it was really interesting. In episode 3, we get the Wrecking Crew, which is just a ridiculous introduction. Like, who would have expected the Wrecking Crew? But yeah, I mean, it fits because they work, for Red Hood or for Hood. And they work for the leader at some point. They work for so many different people. There's a crime syndicate that usually loses every fight. Normally, they're fighting Thor and stuff like that, but
they also go up against Daredevil and Punisher.
Yeah, they go up against the Defenders. I mean, it's not unexpected, I guess, but it was just absurd in the way they showed up. That was definitely not the comic book accurate Wrecking Crew that we might know.
What's crazy too is that those characters that you said that they've worked for in the past, we just got confirmation about those characters at D23 this weekend. We got confirmation of the Hood. We got confirmation of the leader coming back. So
in Iron,
you were right on the pulse with that one, man.
Yeah, man. They're and then they come and they try to extract her blood. Of course, she's impenetrable. The needle bends. It doesn't work. That's interesting to think about where they're going with that. Where are we going to end up? Because they get in the van and it didn't work. Oh, the boss is mad. Who's the boss? I think they're at the end of the day. I've been wrestling with like different directions, but I think at the end of the day, we're going to find out they're hired by the leader. Just it would make sense. He knows what the Hulk blood can do. He's already obviously he's suffering from the side effects of it. What he could be up to, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I think that's
it is also worthy to note that there is one run where the Wrecking Crew almost beat her. So there is a moment where they do actually. Normally, as Tyler says, they tend to get the snot beat out of. But there was a run, and I forgive me, guys. I don't remember what the comic number was, but there was a moment where they almost beat her to death. So they,
I think the origin might have changed a little with that crack. I don't know if that was serious or not, but it's like, did you rob an Asgardian construction crew? And they're like,
well, yeah.
That's not quite how it went in the comics when they got their power, but I mean, whatever. They still got absurd, an enchanted crowbar.
And I mean, the one thing that I really enjoyed too is she's sitting there, little bitty 5 foot nothing. Jen Walters is like, oh wait a minute.
Oh yeah.
She remembers. Oh yeah, I can be a 6'7" green girl that can kill all of you, and she just does her thing. So I thought that was fun.
And that's what's interesting about like a show like this and where we're at in the MCU is what was Michael Keaton's character? Was the Vulture?
Yes.
He was the Vulture. Well, and he created his stuff from the wreckage of the alien stuff. So we should start seeing more and more crazy, interesting tech. If you remember Multiverse of Madness, I forgot Earth, whatever one with the Fantastic Four and Illuminati. Their world was more advanced than what we are now by like a lot.
Something.
And it's just interesting that we're going to start walking into this, the more crazier stuff, you know?
That's a good point, because we also know that there's Chitauri tech that, you know, has been around since Avengers 1. There's Eternals tech. You know, there's all of this various tech that's laying around. So yeah, it would make sense that this stuff would start to become more incorporated into other people and other beings as we move along with this.
You know, you guys have triggered. I know we're gonna talk about theories and stuff like towards the tail end of this episode. Yeah, we're gonna go off on a
tangent, guys. So
but
bear with us.
Think about who owns all of that tech. The DODC. What were we just talking about yesterday?
Department of Damage Control.
Yeah.
Well, and someone I read something of a theory where, what is this inhibitor thing that Emil is going to have to wear? Is it similar to what Bruce created and had on himself
that came out of left
in
field.
The car? Yeah, what is this inhibitor thing? And if the inhibitor, if the inhibitor works, who's to say that's not going to end up turning on Jen at some point in time? Which is a possibility. Exactly. So, I mean, there's a lot of that stuff. There is that for all the fun, there is those dark implications for things as well that goes in. So before we jump into episode 4, let's talk about the end credit scene. We have mixed reactions. We have mixed reactions on the end credit scene from the panel. But we get to see She-Hulk twerking with Megan Thee Stallion. And listeners, I have to inform you that I was the only one who knew who Megan Thee Stallion was. The boys didn't know.
I knew who she was.
I knew a couple of her songs.
Okay, they're changing.
I had no idea who it was. Zero idea who that was.
So, anyways, Blythe knows a little bit about the backstory that goes into this. I know that Kevin is not a fan of the scene, but he has a valid reason why. Kevin, you want to tell us why you're not?
Oh yeah, first of all, I'm not like a lot of, I mean, it's a fun show. They're gonna do fun things. She's breaking the fourth wall. We're gonna see craziness, right? I mean, it's a wild and crazy show. But you know, I have a 7-year-old daughter that is falling in love with She-Hulk and some of the things. And you know, I just don't want her like that. And then also with the whole Match.com thing, it's kind of, I kind of wish those two things weren't in there. I understand they're trying to reach a more adult, older TV 14. That's what it's rated. But yeah, I just didn't care for that reason. Is because it's not something I want to show my 7-year-old daughter. You know,
see, perfectly valid reason why you didn't like
there's
it.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So, Blythe, give us a little bit about the background on that end credit scene.
So, first of all, I'd like to let people know, because there's been a lot of like people online being like, well, this breaks all the rules of what they're trying to do because Megan Thee Stallion's not a superhuman and all this and all that. She could very well be doing a countersuit against the Light Elf for stealing her IP. That's at the end of the day, that's exactly what it is. Dennis isn't a superhuman person, but they still defended him in the Superhuman Law Division. So that was one thing that was really irking me. But as far as the scene goes, I believe the actress who plays She-Hulk was a big fan of Megan Thee Stallion. Huge Megan Thee Stallion fan. So it was something that she got with the writers and creators and wanted to make something fun of it and something that fit kind of Megan Thee Stallion's brand, and they made it happen. We saw some behind the scenes pictures of them filming it, and she's on like a 4-foot riser so that she could be the She-Hulk size, and you can see just by the looks on her face that they're just dancing and they're having a good time. It's like what we were saying earlier. It's showing that the actors and actresses in these shows can just come and they can have a good time, and that's really what that post-credit scene was. It was just them doing something fun with the guests that they had on for the week.
Yeah.
All right.
Like I said, I didn't care for it, but I still get it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Sure, yeah,
sometimes
no,
it's how
that's
Albert
Yeah,
gets a
yeah.
little
And
ridiculous.
you know
It's a fun show. It's a
Yeah,
you know
and
exactly.
you're valid for not your reason for not enjoying it. I'm sure there are lots of people out there who have the same valid reason for not enjoying it. That's perfectly fine. I mean, nobody's like Kevin stinks because he doesn't. No, absolutely not. Well, you might, because I mean,
It is
it's pretty
hot.
hot.
Right now.
It's hot in Florida, but yeah, I mean, it's perfectly fine to not like that moment. But I think it highlights just the tongue in cheek, fun goofiness of this show. I mean, like we said, there's still the dark elements. There's still that essential core superhero moments, but it's also just lots of fun. So with that,
It
let's
shows you
jump
not
into
to
Go ahead.
know what to expect too. Who they
Exactly.
can bring on. It's not just going to
Right.
be superheroes. They could just have really fun guests show up.
Yep.
And people are going to be like,
Live.
whoa, you know, they brought them there for
Right.
what? And it was just like a dumb little part.
Right. I was like,
Speaking of
wait,
that,
Meg. So shall we jump into episode 4, guys?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Do it. Episode 4 is
my
this
new
not
favorite
real
Marvel character.
magic? I think she's everybody's new favorite Marvel character, and we'll talk about her. But let's talk about the beginning of the episode where they go to the magic well, they don't call it the magic castle, but it's literally the magic castle. It's a setup of the magic castle. For everybody who doesn't know, in Los Angeles they have a
play
place
on that,
called
wasn't
the
it?
magic. Yeah, it's exactly
Mystic
what it is.
Castle, right?
Mystic Manor or something. In Los Angeles, there is a very historic place called the Magic Castle, and magicians join this secret brotherhood of magicians. And we've had Paul Draper on the show before, and he's a member of the Magic Castle, so he's probably going to listen to this and go, "That's not what it's called, Court." But anyways, and what it is it used to be apartments, and then it's turned into they have different little theaters in this very catacomby kind of place. The general public is not allowed in unless you are invited by a member, and it's a very cool place. I was lucky enough to go once, thanks to Paul.
Play your cards right, you can go see Donnie Blaze.
You'll be able to see Donnie Blaze. And first off, elephant in the room, Donnie Blaze. Really, MCU? This is what you're doing to us?
It's not a coincidence.
Nope.
There's no way it
Absolutely
can
not.
be.
There's
Can't
a reason
be a
for it.
coincidence.
Absolutely not, because there's actually a poster. Tyler, do you know the poster?
No.
Is that what you're going to say? Okay,
No.
so there's actually a poster in the room advertising the Donnie Blaze show, but it says Johnny Blaze on it.
That's
So
interesting.
what if
Yeah.
it's his brother?
Maybe. So
And they both join Comitage together. And look, I mean, instead of like,
We sure it wasn't like a shadow in the way of like the D or something? Or...
I'm reporting what I saw. But yeah, I mean, it's there's
interesting.
absolutely no way that's a coincidence whatsoever.
Can't
So,
No,
Blythe,
it's not.
tell us about Donnie Blaze and the introduction of our new favorite character.
So we get Donnie Blaze. He's doing some just like stage magic, and the crowd is not loving it. So then what does he pull out of his pocket? A sling ring. And he brings everyone's new favorite MCU character, Madison with a Y.
But it's
not where you
not where you think it is.
Brings her on stage and opens a portal to some sort of hell dimension and allows her to go into said dimension. So just a real fun scene, right? You have Donnie Blaze, you have this drunk woman character that's coming up and just doesn't know what's going on. And I love his hype man. The one guy that's like behind the curtain.
I can't remember his name, but he is all for everything. He thinks everything that Donnie Blaze is wonderful.
Yes.
He is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's great.
Fantastic.
Do you know what's funny about the Madison Y, but not where you think? is when I saw her character, I'm like, wow, she's going to be an annoying character. I hope I don't see anything more of her. And then at the next time, I was like, okay, well, man, they're really pushing this annoying character. And then it became just absolutely hilarious to me because the way she's acting,
endearing.
putting her with Wong, super serious, and then hey.
Absolutely endearing. This episode was extremely laugh out loud, like throughout.
Yeah.
Because we also have to talk about, we've got Jen looking at her to-do list, Jen doing okay, let's talk about the dating. We got to talk about the dating because this is a big part of it. So she decides to start dating. She puts herself on there as Jen Walters and gets nothing. And again, we get another shot of her phone lock screen, which is everybody's favorite behind Captain America's, or at least my favorite. And then she finally decides to put herself on as She-Hulk. And I love the fourth wall break in that, where she looks at us and says, I'm really not proud of myself for this. But she did it anyways. And then, of course, she gets $1 million. So let's talk about this slew of incredibly bad dates she had, because there's one that I think that left everybody with a kind of thought. So Tyler, let's go to you on those bad dates.
Yeah, no, that was really, I don't know what the dating world is like right now. Especially, I'm in my 30s too. So
it's like that.
It's absolutely
if it's anything like that out there, guys, I mean, just
he's in his 30s and has
God
been
be
with his
you.
wife for who knows how long. So he has absolutely no idea what the dating world is.
Bless all of you out there just trying to make your way through the dating field. Yeah, it was pretty cringy seeing a lot of these guys come through. I mean, but what do you expect? It's She-Hulk. Come on. It's a novelty for a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get those guys answering the call. And then you got one in there. One of these guys is a real big fan. And he was a real big fan of figuring out what can pierce her skin. That was a little odd. I think this guy came up, his name was Todd. And I heard it pointed out that at one point when they did post production, they did the credits. He was labeled in the credits as Hulk Todd. I don't know what that might indicate.
Hulk Todd. Interesting.
I love it.
Yeah,
Todd Hulk.
Todd Hulk.
I don't know why they would label him that. That could lead somewhere. It could not. But either way, this dude is up to something, and I really think he's part of this. He's coming after her the same reason the Wrecking Crew came after her. I don't think he's just a rando big fan who just had a lot of questions. I think he's real curious for a very specific
Especially
reason.
since he called her a specimen.
Yeah,
he referred to her as a specimen, and it's like,
right.
And what's going to pierce your skin? Do you know? Does adamantium or does
vibranium do it?
Vibranium pierce your skin?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now, I know I heard another show kind of reference that maybe it could, his name's not really Todd, and he could actually be Stern's brother from the comics who turns into Madman later on. That seems like a bit of a reach, but I mean, maybe it will lead somewhere.
I wonder if we have some sort of like bounty hunter situation going on, where whoever the boss is that's trying to get the blood isn't just sent out the Wrecking Crew. He's made like some sort of post on the dark web, and all these different people are going to start coming out the woodwork trying to figure out how to get her blood and give it to the boss so that they can cash in on whatever
out through the crime syndicates.
Yeah.
Go with that. I could see
like
that. Yeah. And then we're getting court cases, but just the behind the scenes is all of a sudden she's going to start getting attacked more and more.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Which you guys, I like that theory, which could lead into next week when we know that next week Daredevil is going to show up.
Well, and also
so is Titania is going to show back up next week.
Tyler, I don't remember the character's name. It's not Leapfrog. It's something like that, right? With the thing with the goggles and he flies away.
It's Leapfrog.
It's Leapfrog. He's a villain too, right?
I do believe so.
So he possibly is another bounty hunter. That may be how they're introducing all these little villains. So we see Leapfrog, we see the Wrecking Crew, whoever this Todd guy is. Like these are all people trying to get her blood for some.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, I like that a lot. That's really good. That leads us, we do have to go back just just a bit because Madison shows up at Comertage and we get our first Madison and Wongers interaction. But more importantly, he asks her, where did you come from? What dimension, what cut ray magician sent you where? And what does she, first off, Kevin, what does she come out of that portal holding in her hand? And what does she say she had to do to get sent elsewhere?
She came out with a heart in her hand, first of all, and says she had to give, 7 drops of her blood to a man with a goat face?
A goat god. Yeah.
A goat.
Or goat demon. Goat demon.
Demon.
So
goat demon.
that's
and that she's
right.
not allowed to talk about it,
Exactly.
or else all of her friends and family are going to die.
So that's right, listeners. We're back on the Mephisto train. Yeah. So we're gonna bring up, we're not going to be as psychotic as we were during WandaVision, but I think it's.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yes, we are. But I think it's important to say that there's a lot of stuff that says now.
Mephisto's confirmed.
We have conspiracy. There's still a little bit more left of the episode that we'll talk about, but I want to get into Tyler's theory. He blew all of our minds before we started the episode. Tyler, what is your theory on Madison and Mephisto?
All right. Well, going back and forth, and I know you guys have yours, and I have one that I've been tossing around too. And it's the most fun thing that I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna stick to it. And she had to give the drops of her blood. She made a deal with a demon. She made a deal with the devil. Made a deal with Mephisto. Madison is gonna be Ghost Rider. So
you heard
just
it here
wait.
first. It's
Just
Madison
wait.
with a Y, and it's not where you think it is.
There you go.
Ends up being Ghost Rider. We said it first.
Well,
And just putting it out there. If it sticks, it sticks.
Blythe, what was your theory on it?
I think Blythe and Kevin were a little more viable.
Oh yeah.
In theirs.
Okay, yeah, we're going. The other two had a good idea, so let's hear from the two of you, Kevin and Blythe. Go for it,
Kevin.
I just think it'd be crazy if she is actually Mephisto. If now she is the embodiment, and you're like, aha, she's with Wong, have a drink, and then all of a sudden you see where Wong's actually knocked out, and now she's able to be Mephisto. She transforms. This entire time it's been a big play. That sounds like a very Mephisto thing.
Watching The Sopranos in Mephisto form.
Right. So we will get back to Wong in just a second because Blythe says something he wants to conspiracy theory with everybody. But let's go ahead and finish off the episode really quickly. I'll do that. So Donnie Blaze, swear to God, that name is Johnny Blaze. It means something, or they're just messing with us. Donnie Blaze with his sling ring and his necklace with Khonshu's head on it.
Yep.
Right, I said it. Said it. I meant it. I'm here to represent it. Opens up another portal, and all of a sudden these weird fat baby type demons
goblins
come flying out. And then he goes and runs to Wong to get help because he can't contain them. And then, of course, Wong interrupts Jen on her date. And I personally laughed extremely hard when he said, "Why are you answering your phone?" Oh, I see why.
Yeah.
And then he does the whole, "Hurry up, I feel like your dad."
I feel like your dad.
And then they go and they fight the fat, weird bat baby demon thingies.
What am I supposed to do? You're a Hulk.
Yeah. Be a Hulk.
So she started smashing them. I do like the fact that she said this is, these are billable hours, like a true attorney.
Yeah.
She does that. But the one thing I also want to mention is it's pretty interesting. I personally think the dimension that they kept throwing them back into looks an awful lot like where they went in Multiverse of Madness for the temple to the Scarlet Witch and the Darkhold was at.
Oh, the snowy world?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just could be, just projecting because I love the Scarlet Witch,
but they were coming out of where Mephisto's at.
Yeah, I mean they're coming out from beneath and they're throwing him into this other world. So and going back to that is at the base, this is a lawyer show. She holds a big scary demon baby over his head and says, "Are you going to honor the cease and desist now?" And then she goes back and gets
pretty quick on her feet.
Yep, she goes back and gets her man, which kind of made me sad in the morning. But
yeah, she did.
That's straight from a comic where fireman carries a guy into the other room. For those of you who aren't familiar, she's notoriously a horn dog, and she has had relationships with just about every male member of the Avengers that you could pop, and some villains. So it's right on par for her. Anyways, Kevin, thoughts? I see you wanting to interject.
No, a little off subject on that part, but it's just you reminded me of something whenever she's like, "Hey, were you going to sign our cease and desist now?" I find it interesting the way her acting is that you see her think about this stuff in real time. Like she all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." I know what to do, and it's kind of cool to watch her go through the lawyer process, if you will. I enjoy that aspect.
Well, it harkens back to episode 1 where she keeps telling Bruce, he keeps saying, you're gonna be a superhero. You need to do this to be a superhero. And she's like, I'm not a superhero. I'm a lawyer. So in that moment, when she's doing superhero things, at the end of the day, she's still a lawyer. She still lawyers the situation.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, that, like you said, to see that whole thing play out where she's not just a Hulk. Like she's Jen Walters, and she's at the end of the day, she's a lawyer.
And so the next morning, after her successful date with the pediatrician, or I don't know, whatever he is,
pediatric oncologist.
There you go. That the jerk guy. He wakes up to Jen and is not having any of it.
Nope.
Now, what's up with that?
He wanted She-Hulk.
Yeah, he wanted
She-Hulk. He didn't want Jen.
So nice. He had me convinced. I was getting ready to swipe right.
Listen, we've all been in that situation where you wake up and you're like, "Oh, I was expecting a big green 7-foot girl. What is this?"
Yeah, where did this 5
I'm gonna go
brunette come into play? So then he leaves, but then we get the doorbell rings and there's a process server, and we discover.
Funny. Yeah,
I recognize a process server when I see one.
Right. Again, at the heart, it is a lawyer show. It's so good. And she's being sued by Titania because Titania has copyrighted She-Hulk. And so next episode is just going to be hysterical.
Oh, it's going to
because
be
we're getting
funny.
Daredevil, we're getting Titania.
Well, the actress that played Titania is a legit comedian. She's hilarious.
Oh, she's hilarious.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't watch her TikTok or her Twitter, she is having the most fun being Titania.
Yeah.
Like what part of the publicity stunt that she did is she actually went out as Titania and graffitied over She-Hulk posters.
Oh, that was a real thing?
Yeah.
That was real.
That was real.
I mean,
I thought that was like maybe
stunt.
put on by the producers said, okay, we're going to pay you to go over here and do this, like a promotional stunt.
I mean, it was a promotional stunt, but she physically
really
went
did
out
it,
and did it. It's
That's
like
awesome.
They didn't do it on a soundstage. She went out, they found some posters they had up, and she spray painted Titania over the top of all of them. I mean, she's having a blast as Titania. So I'm really excited because we only got a little taste of her in episode 1, and now we're finally going to get to see her. And she is the arch nemesis, the chief adversary to She-Hulk in the comics. So it's going to be a blast.
Now, let me tell you, episode 3, when we found out everything that went on with Blonsky and Wong, and everything we saw with Wong in this episode. I kind of it's been weird. It's been like, this isn't the Wong we thought we knew. Like he's super dedicated to his job.
Yeah,
right?
He's super different than he has
dedicated
been
to his job. Like the whole time I've seriously been thinking, like I never would have thought, like when you guys brought the whole thing up with, like when Blonsky said I was forced. And we were like, no, Wong wouldn't do that. It turns out he did. He grabbed him up out of there.
He did do it.
Like, we were like, wait a minute. I was like, no way.
It's
But,
almost
So-
like he's a
let me tell
different
you,
person.
I know a guy who's got a few thoughts on Wong that
Yeah,
we've
I
discussed
think
this
maybe we
week.
know a guy.
So let's
You guys-
get
you guys-
into the meat of that.
Hey, guys. Wong's a Skrull.
Go!
You heard it here
Lord.
first. You heard it here on iHeartGeek first.
He's been talking about this for a week,
Magic
listeners. So here you go.
Oh
All right,
my god.
give it to us, Blythe. Give it to us. Why
It's
is
not
Wong a
a
Skrull?
magic
And,
Okay, so he is a magic
and
Skrull.
it is
but-
not hard to believe, to be honest.
So we got
No,
this
it
weekend.
isn't.
We got a big reminder that Secret Invasion is right around the corner, which means that we are
Skrulls.
going to start seeing different people that we've seen in the universe plugged in as Skrulls. Wong does not seem to be the same person that he has been since we met him in Doctor Strange 1. He's doing weird things. He's all over the place. Like he's story-wise would be the perfect person to slate in as a Skrull, because he's messing around with things that he shouldn't be messing with. He's doing stuff that isn't necessarily what you would think the Sorcerer Supreme is supposed to be doing. Just really, really iffy. And he's getting pretty cozy with Mephisto.
If
over on the
Madison
couch.
is Mephisto. That's true. That's true. Yak
Yep,
milk
yep.
and gin and tonics.
So
Wonders.
if
And I
there's
know-
anything, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I know Kevin had some thoughts on that as far as if he is a Skrull in the whole
Mhm.
Sorcerer Supreme deal and who takes up that role. Blythe and Kevin have been going on about that quite a bit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hit us, Kevin.
Well, that's it. First of all, if he is a Skrull, it would kind of make sense a little bit because he's been in so many movies, right? Like we've seen him a lot for a Sorcerer Supreme. The flip side, though, you're telling me the Sorcerer Supreme, the one that's supposed to keep the reality together around us, right? Protect Earth from attacks, the Sanctum Sanctorum, everything, is a Skrull. Well, then Mephisto would come as Madison and no, I just don't see it.
I think at this point in the universe, you could say that Skrulls either have the ability to learn the mystic art. So in that fashion, he could be a Skrull, could be Sorcerer Supreme if he reached a high enough level. We've seen other races use the mystic arts in Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse
So
of Madness.
yeah, it could be that they does, or in Skrull lore, when they take over the form of somebody, the way they do that is they use their DNA. And who's to say when they took the DNA of Wong, they didn't also obtain the powers of being a sorcerer?
Well, and I mean, the other point that you brought up is that in the blip, Doctor Strange was gone for 5 years. Who's to say that Wong wasn't replaced at that time? Maybe he did get blip. Maybe he didn't. We don't know. We assume that Wong was there because in Multiverse of Madness, they intimate that he became Sorcerer Supreme because Steven was gone because of the blip.
I'm under the impression that it was while he was a Target associate. I think they found them.
Yep.
A Target associate.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Nobody's gonna miss this guy. Then he becomes a librarian at Comitage.
Yeah.
And then now he's the Sorcerer Supreme. It's like nobody's gonna miss this guy. I need a body.
About the American dream.
And I mean the other thing that Blythe mentioned that if Wong does end up being a Skrull, if this occurs, then that frees up the role of the Sorcerer Supreme to actually be filled by Doctor Strange, because he is the Sorcerer Supreme.
He needs to be the Sorcerer Supreme at some point before Secret Wars. That title change has to happen at some point.
Yeah,
I don't see them going beyond Secret Wars and then doing a Sorcerer Supreme change.
And I mean, he is theoretically, when he is with Clea in the comics, he is the Sorcerer Supreme at that point in time too. And we left off Multiverse of Madness of him running off with Clea to go deal with Dormammu and all
with
this
a
other
third
stuff.
eye.
So I mean, so it I'm not saying he's right. I'm not saying he's wrong, but Blythe could be right. And it would, by making Wong the Skrull, it opens up a whole lot of other things that could occur within the MCU.
Yeah.
Plus, it's fun for Benedict Wong to be like, hey, guess what? I was the Skrull the whole time.
Hey,
Gotcha.
I'm gonna keep my wits about me when I'm shopping in Target from now on. Too.
There you go. They come after you in Target, probably in the electronics aisle.
That's how they come in.
Okay, so let's quickly talk about the QR code and some more of the little Easter eggs that we haven't talked about. Tyler, you can tell us what the QR code in episode 3 was, because I forget what comic that is.
You found that on what is it, Pug? That's his name. Pug's laptop there. When he was on his laptop, you see a little QR code, and you scan it. It takes you to, I believe, Savage She-Hulk number 2.
And that's when she's learning her powers.
That particular comic and QR code and everything, I have no clue why exactly they chose that one for that episode. Tell you what, episode 4's QR code, that comic, there's some relevancy here.
Okay, listeners, Tyler and I drove Blythe and Kevin crazy this week as we were.
If you think my scroll theory is nuts, listen to what these guys have to say. Because
this is all we do for the entire week. Is just have theories about
this is you guys. This is what we do. Like, and check us out on TikTok, because sometimes we pull some of these polos that we do and we put them on TikTok, and you can see how exactly really strange we are when we're not talking to you on the podcast. So episode 4, the QR code is on her Match.com. It is on the Jennifer or Matcher or whatever they call it, the dating profile, but for Jennifer, not for She-Hulk. And it takes you to West Coast Avengers number 4 from 1989, which is part of the Atlantis Attacks arc that happened. And it is the Gather Now Ye 7 Brides, which Kevin likes to harken to the 7 soulmates. In this episode, or in this comic, a high priest of the deviant god Set, that's right, I said Set, y'all. Ring a bell, Moon Knight? Gathers together 7 brides in order to release Set upon the world. He needs their combined powers. Those 7 brides are Jean Grey, Sue Storm, She-Hulk, Storm, Scarlet Witch, Dagger, and Andromeda. And Andromeda is the daughter of Atuma, who we will see in Black Panther, Wakanda
Not
Forever.
a coincidence. We got the 7 soulmates.
Right. And
Johnny Blaze is wearing a Khonshu necklace.
Yeah, I mean, in all actuality, if with the exception of Andromeda, we have seen 6 of the 7 brides. If we count the old Fantastic Fours, which I don't think we do,
and X-Men,
and X-Men, which we can't really count, because I don't know if Dark Phoenix or any of that stuff counts. So we don't we got the
na-na-na-na-na. That's enough of a connection for me to the cartoon.
I mean,
we've gotten Storm.
So I mean, we have Dagger, we have Scarlet Witch, we have She-Hulk.
Okay, that's a read.
Those are the ones we have. The rest of them we technically have not seen in the MCU. But there is a Skrull in this that gets attacked, which leads into Blythe's theory.
Only relevancy that this comic has to this show is that Skrulls are involved.
Also, She-Hulk unleashes a Leviathan type creature, which we have seen in What If, and is technically referenced in the Agent Carter TV show, which is the Russian arm of Hydra. It's known as the Leviathan. So what this particular comic actually means and connects to this episode of She-Hulk, your guess is good as mine. But I read it when I was a kid, and it's cool. So read it. It's free.
Very purposeful. You should definitely look as far into these as possible. Not like Blythe, who just dismisses everything.
So I think we've hit all of the pertinent Easter eggs and all sorts of fun conspiracy theories. Stan Lee's name did get mentioned in this episode, so that's a nice little "we love you, Stan. Thanks for creating this world for us.
Yeah.
So if we're done, let's get our final thoughts on these 2 episodes and what we're kind of hoping for in the next 4 episodes or 5 episodes next, because there's 9 total.
Yep.
Kevin, take us out. Thoughts?
I'm absolutely having so much fun with this show. I came into this show with high hopes, and they're at my hopes and exceeding my hopes. They are doing actually more than what I was expecting. I love it. Great show. I applaud Marvel.
Tyler?
Yeah, no, these episodes were good. Like I said, episode 4 was my favorite so far. They had a lot of real fun stuff in it. A lot of stuff you can draw from, things you can craft, wild theories, that are definitely going to come true later on.
Mephisto and Madison.
This show, it has had so much potential to do so much, connect to so much, because it could be like a hub for everything. All these heroes just coming through in these lawsuits, and and we see them later on. These plots, and I want more exposition on what's going on with this whole trying to get her blood thing. I hope they don't just keep teasing us with that. We need to blow that out of the water here, but we're gonna deal with Titania first, and maybe that's connected. I know that like the actress was talking about in an interview how there's still more characters who've never been in the MCU that are supposed to come through. Which we've talked about before. You could just be passing through the law firm, and Howard the Duck sitting on somebody's desk over there. Like
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
That would be great.
I'm still waiting for Howard the Duck. Holding out for that one, but no, it's been a good ride. I enjoy it.
Lies, if that's your real name, if you're not a scroll.
I think he is.
It would make sense, actually. That's it. We figured it out.
Really good episodes. Marvel they just keep coming. I was just thinking too that as much as when these shows first started, we got WandaVision and we got all the stuff of like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Loki, and all those things. Back then, everything felt more serious.
Yeah,
I would love the shows for what they were, and I loved them when they came out. But I think this is the phase of the Marvel TV shows that I'm having the best time with, because not only are they seeding things for the future, they're messing with the narrative of the MCU. They're having fun while they're doing it. It's not all like doom and gloom and just serious all the time. It's a Dr. Doom and Gloom. Maybe that's who Todd is. If you rearrange the letters in Todd, they almost spell doom.
Almost. D-O. There you go.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
But yeah, they're having fun, and they're allowing us to have fun as the people who are taking these in and theory crafting and watching, not being at D23, but refreshing Twitter and refreshing TikTok and refreshing everything so that we can find out that next juicy piece of news. So good on them for what they're doing.
At least there's no screaming goats in this one.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
They weren't that bad.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh my god, get out of here, Courtney.
You being a Marvel cultist,
She's not allowed.
Not seen it yet.
I've been really busy. I'm actually planning on watching it tonight. So, anywho, you guys can pick on me later. So, I agree. I think this is with Miss Marvel, we had a lot of fun, and this one we're having even more fun. And this is a great direction to take, because clearly Secret Invasion is going to be just dark.
It's gonna be dark,
and, and sinister. So I mean, the fact that they can lighten it up,
great.
and I think we've mentioned multiple times on these shows, each one of these Marvel shows is a different genre and animal, and at this point in time, they're just having as much fun and doing whatever they want, and it works. It all works for the characters that they bring in. So I'm really having a blast. But I'm also a huge She-Hulk fan, and I feel that having, read her since I was a kid, this is right where she's supposed to be. I mean, this feels like what she's supposed to be, and I will fight anyone who says it's incorrect. So I'll meet you all outside. I am really excited to see Daredevil next episode. I am really curious to see who the big bad is going to be, because we know we're going to get a big bad. I don't think it's going to be Titania, but
The leader.
the battle. Yeah, I mean, it could be the leader.
Very well could be.
I know that, and I'm really
Mephisto.
curious to see who else shows up, because they've really built up this. Okay, here's a guest star. Here's a guest star. Here's a guest star. And you know they're going to continue this on the whole time. I know Blythe is holding out for Ben Grimm. I would be interesting. Maybe we'll get somebody from the Eternals who might show up. The only reason I say that, because in this week's QR coded comic book, there's lots of mention of the Eternals. And in fact, Circe is in there, and she's the one that helps get the women back. So who knows?
What if she because Wolverine had a bar fight? What if she has to try? They wouldn't introduce him there, but there's so many things you can do with the show.
He's already been introduced. We just haven't seen him yet. I don't know. I mean, what would be really interesting is if the ones that we see, we know nothing about the casting for. So it could be. I mean, at D3 they did not announce who the casting for Fantastic Four is going to be. If Ben Grimm shows up, it's going to be an absolute surprise who it is, because we don't have any clue. I mean, so if we get things like the leader, and but we know who the leader is casting wise, I believe. Yeah, we already know who that is. We know who the Hood is. But I mean, it'd be really interesting if they decide to take this show and say, hey, guess what? We didn't tell you at D23 because we were saving it as a surprise for She-Hulk. Yeah. So here you go. Because she does play a big role in the Fantastic Four in the comics, so it makes sense. And the outfit she wears in the trailer when she faces off with Daredevil when he's in his red and yellow suit, that is actually indicative of her Fantastic Four, one of her Fantastic Four suits. So who knows? Who knows? But that's a show. Thank you, listeners, for joining us and listening to our crazy theories. We're going to do it again next week, because that's what we do. And with me is Kevin and Tyler and Blythe. And check us out on social media and on TikTok and all of those crazy places. And our website, which is iHeartGeek.com. Use the com. We paid extra for it, as Dub likes to say. And so there you go. Keep on geeking on, guys.
Mephisto.
Not where you think.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.